Ladies and gentlemen, please be upstanding for the Chairman of Thanet District Council. Seated. Good evening, members and officers of the Council and members of the press and public. I welcome you to the annual meeting of the Council, and may I say I'm pleased to see some familiar faces amongst members this evening. Housekeeping. If the fire alarm is activated, please vacate the offices via the stairs, either through the security doors to my right or opposite the lifts in the foyer. Please do not use the lifts. Please assemble in Hawley Square on the green. Officers will assist you and advise when it is deemed safe to return to the chamber. The proceedings of this meeting will be recorded and subsequently broadcast on the internet. I would advise that if filming takes place, anyone in attendance in the public areas may have their image captured. I urge anyone filming proceedings to avoid filming members of the public, particularly if there are children present. Does anyone intend to film the meeting this evening? Thank you. Therefore, if any member of the public who objects to the possibility of being filmed may wish to take this opportunity to leave the meeting. Any filming or recording will not be permitted for any item of business where exempt or confidential information is considered, following the exclusion of the press and the public from the meeting. And finally, would everyone present please ensure that their mobile phones are turned to silent and that they are not used to make or receive phone calls in the chamber whilst the meeting is in progress. Agenda item 1, election of a chairman. Are there any nominations? Councillor Bayford.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I'd like to nominate Councillor Jason Savage. Councillor Savage is a very experienced councillor, having been here since 2003. In his time here, he's been chairman of various committees, he's been a cabinet member and latterly deputy leader. He's also a past mayor of Broadstairs, so he has a clear understanding of the roles, the civic role that is entailed in the job. I'll get it right in a minute. I think it's fair to say he'll bring his own inimitable style to the job. I'm very disappointed that we haven't got the flashy bow tie tonight, but I'm sure that in the future it will be present. And I know that he'll be a brilliant ambassador for Thanet, so I have no hesitation in nominating Councillor Savage. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bayford. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second that, Chair.
As there are no other candidates, I declare that Councillor Savage has been elected Chairman of Thanet District Council for the ensuing year. Sorry, I didn't ask if there were any other. I didn't see any hands go up. Maybe I'm keen to lose the chains. Are there any other nominations?
You're up to the job, Chairman.
No, nor do I. It's been a long year. So therefore, as there are no other candidates, I declare that Councillor Savage has been elected Chairman of Thanet District Council for the ensuing year. Please now be upstanding whilst the platform party retires for a few minutes in order for the Chairman to be invested with the chain and badge of office. Thank you.
You can sit down. Ladies and gentlemen, please be upstanding for the Chairman of Thanet District Council.
Oh, here, I'll take it. Please be seated, everyone. I call upon the Chief Executive.
I invite Councillor Savage, as Chairman for 2019-20, to make the declaration of acceptance of office.
I, Jason Savage, having been elected to the office of Chairman of Thanet District Council, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability. Councillors, officers and members of the public. In first instance, I would like to thank the members of this chamber for having the confidence to elect me Chairman of the Council. It is my intention to serve this office to the best of my ability with my wife Anne as escort. As Chairman and on behalf of this Council, I would like to put on record how grateful we are for the past work of Councillor David Saunders and his escort Mevan, who has served this office with distinction, diligence, discernment and dignity. Thank you, David. Could I please have a round of applause for our past chairman? Moving on to agenda item 2, election of vice chairman. Could I have any nominations, please? Councillor Bayford.
Proposed Councillor Linda Wright, Chair.
Thank you very much. Is there a seconder, please, for that?
I'll second that, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Ashby. Over here. Are there any other nominations? Not being any other nominations, I think... Where are we? Over, yes. As there are no other candidates, I declare that Councillor Linda Wright, pardon me. Linda Wright has been elected Vice Chairman to Thanet District Council for the ensuing year. I know her very well too. That's a terrible thing about it. Where am I now? Please be upstanding whilst the Vice Chairman is invested with the badge of office. I call upon the Chief Executive.
I invite Councillor Linda Wright as the Vice Chairman for 2019-20 to make the declaration of acceptance of office.
Okay. I, Linda Wright, having been elected to the office of Vice Chairman of Thanet District Council, declare that I will take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of in accordance with to the best of my ability and judgment.
Councillor Wright, would you like to say a few words and advise who will be your escort?
I'd like to say thank you for electing me as Vice Chairman, and I hope that I don't let you down. And I'd like to ask George Cupp to be my escort. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I congratulate the Vice Chairman and her escort this evening. Moving on to agenda item 3, apologies for absence this evening. Apologies have been received from Councillor Shrub. Are there any other apologies to be received this evening? Moving on to agenda item 4, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest this evening? Yes, Councillor Campbell.
I draw your attention, Chair, to... I'll stand. I draw your attention to agenda item 12, Members' Allowance Scheme. I think we're all a declaration of interest there.
Thank you very much, Councillor Campbell. And, you know, I expected you to rather make that drawn to our attention. So thank you very much indeed for that. Does the monitoring officer have anything to add?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Yes, all members have a general dispensation in relation to their allowances. Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item 5, minutes of previous meeting. I move that the minutes of the meeting of Council held on the 28th of March 2019 be approved. Would the Vice Chairman please second?
I second that, Chairman.
Do members agree that I sign the minutes as a true record? Thank you. Do I sign them? All right, okay. Moving on to agenda item 6, announcements. There are no announcements under Council Procedure Rule 2.14. I now move on to agenda item 7, election of the leader. Can I have a nomination for leader, please?
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to nominate Councillor Bob Bayford as leader of the Council.
Thank you very much, Councillor Ashby. Could I have a seconder, please? Thank you very much, Councillor Parsons. Are there any other nominations, please? There is. Councillor Whitehead, please.
I would like to nominate Councillor Rick Everett.
Thank you very much. Do you have a seconder for that?
I second that. Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to say that I think Councillor Everett is the outstanding candidate here in the event for members present, and members would be foolish if they chose anybody else other than Councillor Everett. Thank you very much. And we'll see how foolish they are in a moment.
Councillor Campbell, I'm sort of getting used to these things from you, and from so many years, and I'm going to enjoy them as the year progresses, aren't I? Thank you very much indeed. Are there any other nominations? Yes, Councillor Piper.
Just a point of order under Section 5 for your smooth running of meetings, Mr Chairman. Might it be nice to hear from the two nominees what sort of changes, for example, they might make to how this council might be run by a minority administration, whichever side of the room it is? Perhaps we could have a few words from them?
Councillor Piper, I don't think that's normal procedure. However, I shall seek advice on that. I'm not really very sure that we really want this evening? We do. Well, that being the case, in order, shall we go alphabetically? I have the utmost confidence in the current leader, if you would like to say a few words.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I think it's a reasonable point that Councillor Piper makes. The fact is that this is a council now that has been under no overall control for some time, and I don't think it's not unreasonable that we should look at other forms of governance, but I have to say that it's not very high on my list of priorities, but I do think it's something that should be addressed at some point.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bayford. Councillor Everett, would you like to say a few words on your behalf?
I'd like to thank members for nominating and seconding me, and I look forward to the outcome of the vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Everett. Well, that was short and sweet, wasn't it? Can we move on to the vote, please? Can I have a show of hands first for Councillor Bayford? Thank you. Can I have a vote for Councillor Everett, please? Show of hands. Thank you very much indeed. Abstentions, please. Seemingly no abstentions. Right, can I sorry? Abstaining from the vote, from the process.
No, it's just from the process.
It's just abstention from the process, Councillor Piper.
Sorry, Chair, but your pardon. Sorry, Chair, I wouldn't really like it to be recorded that I abstained from the process. We have an opinion which is yay or nay or abstain. And we ought really to have the opportunity to say so.
Yes, please, could the monitoring officer give a little bit of advice, please?
Yes, clearly the vote is about voting for one candidate or the other. I'm not quite understanding the point the council is making, to be honest.
Thank you very much. I think really we need to move on. Thank you. The outcome is 24 for Councillor Bayford, 24 for Councillor Everett. And in consequence, I, as chairman, do have a casting vote, and after long deliberation, I have decided to cast my vote in favour of Councillor Bayford this evening. Councillor Bayford, as leader, would you like to say a few words?
Well, I'd like to thank the Chamber for that resounding vote of confidence in me. Just a couple of things, really. I mean, looking at the ranks of Labour councillors over there, it's like the old days. But you'll notice I haven't said like the good old days, because I seem to remember this chamber a few years ago was quite a fractious place. I don't think it helped the quality of debate or the quality of decisions a lot of the time. I think this chamber now is very interesting. We've got a spread of parties. We've got representation from the Green Party that hadn't been here before. We've got a mix of experienced and new councillors, and perhaps more encouragingly, a lot of much younger councillors, and I think that's very, very encouraging. Steve, yes, I mean, I know. Keep taking the tablets, they're working. Okay. Right. I mean, I think, it's no secret this is a difficult time for local government, and I think we know that Thanet faces particular challenges. We can meet these challenges far more effectively if we work together. I hope we can do that over the next 4 years, and I think Thanet expects. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Leader. Move on to agenda item 8, appointment of the Deputy Leader. I call upon the new elected leader, Councillor Bayford.
Nominate Councillor Ashby. Appoint Councillor Ashby.
Thank you very much indeed, Councillor Bayford. Could I have a seconder for that, please?
No, you don't.
Sorry, my apologies. New to this, we don't need a seconder. Moving on to agenda item... I do. I declare that Councillor Ash Ashby has been appointed Deputy Leader of the Council. I call upon Councillor Ashby.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to my group and to Councillor Bayford, the leader, for nominating me, appointing me as his deputy. I will do everything I can to serve this council for the benefit of the council and for the residents of all the residents of Thanet. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councillor Ashby. Moving on to agenda item 9, responsibility for functions, the executive. Would members please refer to supplementary agenda number 1? I call upon the leader, Councillor Bayford, to name the cabinet members.
Okay, thank you, Chairman. Cabinet members are as follows: Corporate Governance and Coastal Development, Councillor Pugh; Financial Services and Estates, Councillor David Saunders; Housing and Safer Neighbourhoods, Councillor Gain; Operational Services, Councillor Ashby; and I would actually, as I did last time, announce that I will continue to take portfolio responsibilities for Port and Harbour, because I love being shouted at, particularly from afar and particularly on Facebook. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bayford. I call upon Councillor Everett to name his opposition spokespersons.
Thank you, Chair. I have 4 new councillors to introduce to you on the Labour front bench. My Deputy Leader, Helen Whitehead, who will cover the Housing and Safer Neighbourhoods portfolio. Rob Yates, who will cover Financial Services and Estates. Ruth Duckworth, who will cover Corporate Governance and Coastal Development. And Steve Alban, who may not need much introduction to many members of the Council, who will cover Operational Services.
Thank you very much, Councillor Everett. Council is asked to receive the Cabinet portfolios, Cabinet portfolio holders, opposition spokespeople, portfolios, operational accountabilities and executive delegated functions. The item is for information only and is not going to be voted on. Moving on to agenda item 10, the constitution of committees, the political balance, appointments to committees, panels and boards. Would members please refer to supplementary agenda number 1. Number and size of committees. I move that the number of committees and the number of members to serve on those committees, as shown in Table 2 of the report, be adopted. Would the Vice Chairman please second?
Second that, Mr. Chairman.
Do members agree? Thank you. Moving on to political proportionality. I move that the proportionality between groups for the committees, panels and boards for 2019-2020, as shown at Table 3, 4, 5 and 6 of the report, be adopted. Would the Vice Chairman please second?
I second that, Mr. Chairman.
Do members agree? Thank you. Nomination of members to serve on committees. Would members please refer to members' notes that detail nominations by the group leaders, who have provided those in advance. I call upon Councillor Reverend Piper to advise of his nominations to committees, since we've yet to receive them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the Planning Committee, Councillor Gary Taylor and Councillor John Dennis. The pool of substitutes for planning, Councillor George Rozecki and myself. Licensing Board, Councillor Linda Potts. Overview and Scrutiny Panel, Councillors Linda Piper and George Rozecki. Governance and Audit Committee, myself. Governance and Audit Committee Reserve, Councillor Linda Potts. General Purposes Committee, Councillor Bertie Braidwood. Boundaries and Electoral Arrangements Working Party, myself. Constitutional Review Working Party, Councillor John Dennis. Standards Committee, Councillor Bertie Braidwood. And Joint Transportation Board, Councillor Gary Taylor. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Councillor Piper. Moving on to the election of Chairman and Vice Chairman of committees, panels and boards for the 2019-2020 municipal year. I move that the Council agrees the election of those nominated for Chairman and Vice Chairman of committees as shown in the members' notes. Would the Vice Chairman please second?
Seconded, Mr Chairman.
Do members agree? Thank you. I move on now to the Standards Committee and the Constitution Review Working Party. I move that Dr Jonathan Sexton be appointed Chairman of the Standards Committee and Constitutional Review Working Party for the ensuing year. Would the Vice Chairman please second?
Seconded.
Do members agree? Thank you very much. Agenda item 11, representation on outside bodies. Would members please note that this item has been withdrawn and will be considered at a future meeting.
Point of order, Chair. At the last iterative meeting of this council, the last administration, I suggested that members of these outside bodies actually put in a report on a regular basis to the Loop magazine that goes round to all members. This doesn't seem to have happened, although it was generally agreed by all members, so I'd like to propose it again. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Councillor Canberra. Councillor Bayford.
Yeah, thanks, Chairman. I know it's not formal, but I mean, if it were, I would second that. And indeed, my members can confirm that in our pre-meet, I said exactly that, that people are going to go to these things. One, they ought to report back, but they also ought to say when they're going, so that if members have got particular issues they'd like raised or questions asked about, that can happen.
Thank you very much. That is noted. Moving on to agenda item 11, Members' Allowance Scheme for 2019-2020. Would members please refer to the supplementary agenda number 1. I move that the recommendation as set out in the report be adopted. Would the Vice Chairman please second?
Seconded, Mr Chairman.
Do members agree? Thank you. Agenda item 13, Calendar of Meetings. I move that the recommendation as set out in the report be adopted. Would the Vice Chairman please second?
Seconded, Chairman.
Do members agree? Thank you. Where are we now? That concludes the business for the annual council meeting this evening. So thank you very much indeed, members.